Hello and welcome to Stretty News TV. I'm joined by Ian tonight. Serge can't make it, and Jonathan might be with us in the next few moments. Ian, big win, as you can see from the title of the show. Sit down, Mourinho. Ian, tell how you felt yesterday getting that league equaliser against Chelsea, arguably the best team in the league, and getting a point off them.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad result after all. I think many United fans would have said 4 points against these two fixtures that we had in Chelsea and then City next week would be sort of generally a good couple of fixtures, especially considering how we started the season. So yeah, it was quite pleasing to see that we'd actually got the 1 point that we think, given that City's run so far has not been as you would have thought. Being champions last season, they seem to really not settled into the season so far, and a loss really gave United a boost yesterday, I think, and that last minute winner that we've been dying for, that old Fergie sort of way, he really wanted us to do so, and so it was quite really happening to really see that going forwards and us get a winner. Well, not a winner, an equaliser. It felt like a winner, bouncing on my seat.
I looked at this game, and obviously midweek on Monday we drew with West Brom, the Hawthorns. We should have been getting 3 points. Didn't perform well, and I thought glimpsed the game against Chelsea. We were obviously lacking that bit of confidence that Chelsea had during the week. Winning was a 6-0 or 7-0 or something crazy against some mediocre side across Europe. I thought glimpsed the game they would have full of confidence, but when you watch the game, it was so tight. Both teams tactically just outdid one another. I thought, but looking back at the game, I thought we were a better side.
Yeah, I've always said this with Mourinho teams. He seems to come to Old Trafford and pretty much he's quite happy to walk away with a draw. And
He's very wary at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
very wary.
And you thought he wouldn't have changed that philosophy just because it was a different manager at Old Trafford as well.
Yeah.
He's obviously very wary of what Louis van Gaal can do. And it's a bit strange that he comes to United with that this season with that tactic, especially since given that last season that they got a win at Old Trafford, and we've not been in the best of form at home or away for that point. So it is quite strange to see him come in with the same sort of mindset in his mind that he can't just go for it, and that would have really enough sort of killed the title chances. The papers have been going on about the United's title chances would have gone out the window.
I think what Michael Cox said in The Guardian this morning was spot on. Michael Cox himself, an American, he touched on both managers being reactive managers in a way that they're reactive depending on what opposition they play. And when you have two managers like that, it's very interesting when the encounter comes. Now you got Mourinho, a fantastic manager, possibly the best manager in football, I would argue, and you got Louis van Gaal. He's up there. You learn from, or Mourinho learned from him. And it was also going to be very interesting how teams were set up. And I was on my edge yesterday, waiting for the starting 11. We broke the news on Stretty News Twitter that Diego Costa did not travel with Chelsea. He was not in the hotel, and he was not on the coach going to the game that morning. And you had Chelsea fans that were sending us tweets, slagging us off, saying he was at the hotel. He wasn't. If he was at the hotel, he would have been in the squad, which he wasn't either. And I just thought it was fantastic how both teams set up. It was so tight for a team like United that are struggling this season against an opposition that are putting teams away at ease. I thought United did very, very well. And from that game, I think none of us were expecting a win. I thought a point is a fantastic result for us. And I thought we actually looked a better team. We should have put them away yesterday.
Yeah, it was obviously Van Persie's one-on-one chance that he put us sort of pushed into the side. It was a bit, and obviously I think it was another case. The one thing that I thought was quite interesting tactical-wise was the fact that we didn't swap Di Maria and Januzaj over. Obviously they started in the opposite wings than what they did in West Brom, and those curling balls that Di Maria puts in are extremely mental, and he sort of went for the opposite with the fact that Fellaini went in, so they were going to be curling in towards the back post, but they come straight across, and you're more likely to get a defender that's going to be able to clear those out if he can read those crosses quite well. Whereas if what we've seen from Di Maria so far this season is the ball in between the keeper and the defenders, which unnerves your keeper if it's the right sort of, like, if it's about 8 yards out. It's sort of, the keeper doesn't want to come for it. The defenders don't want to be sort of tracking that far deep into their own box, and it sort of creates that uncertainty. And I really thought that might have been a way to sort of unlock them. If you get Van Persie coming across the front post to try and nick one, and then if it's a higher ball, then you can get Fellaini at the back post. And I thought sometimes positionally, actually, we've sort of seen the sort of Fellaini of old from maybe Everton days, and that was definitely a point against West Brom that a lot of journalists picked up on. He looked to Fellaini of old, but I thought his positioning yesterday was key for that. And I thought at half time, tactically, if he'd have swapped those two wingers, Januzaj and over, then Di Maria could have caused Chelsea a hell of a lot of problems. And Ivanovic could have gone off earlier.
Just before we go on to Fellaini's performance, I described as man of the match yesterday. Just before we go on to that, and you mentioned Di Maria, it was arguably his worst performance, but his class still came through. He still delivered for the goal, the cross in from the set piece, and the late equaliser, and it just goes to show what kind of class he is. The one argument I have seen brought up, if you can give me your thoughts on it, is dropping him more central. We have some questions we'll answer soon about Juan Mata's performance lately as number 10 in the whole. Would you like to see Di Maria be more involved in that? Because he's sometimes when he's on the ball, our attacks come purely from him, and when he's on the ball, you get excited straight away. So if you bring him more centrally, he's involved a lot more. Or would you rather see him out wide as a threat coming in the way, cutting in, rather than being the central? What are your thoughts on that?
No, his goal of the week where he scoops it over the keeper, and he does 1, 2, 3 touch play with Rooney for the goal in the build-up. He comes straight down the middle of the park for that, and he's running at players, and that would scare a hell of a lot of defenders. Now, can he do that sort of touch, go, move, pass, keep the ball round the danger areas? United seem to build play, and I think I was reading the editorial of Red News that Barney written from yesterday's match programme, and it's all about these 4 stages of this philosophy that Van Gaal's got about the way that you build play up to getting a goal. And I don't think that you put Di Maria in the 3rd stage, which is a stage where you've just got to the opponent's outside box and you've got to create something from maybe just a single pass. Sometimes, yes, he has done that because he's done that with flicks, but you get those from the out wide positions and you sort of think to yourself, yes, he's got something that's really creative there. But I think I'd more like to see him whipping on those crosses that are dangerous, or just running at defenders and trying to get in behind them, rather than being faced with what some teams will actually do if they ever saw him in that sort of position. They just block him with an extra man behind, and drop a midfielder in that situation and mark him out of the game. And that was something that Stuart Downing did a couple of weeks back.
Speaking of flicks, we have to move on to Marouane Fellaini's performance. There was a backheel flick, a volley that was played out to Januzaj. He had a fantastic game yesterday against Chelsea on the back of a great performance in the second half against West Brom. Is this a new player? Is this a player that's totally been just guided by Louis van Gaal? Is he doing what Louis van Gaal is saying, we're getting the better out of him? Or is it just a matter of luck? Personally, I think he's looking to be in great form. I know it's only 1 game and a half, but yesterday we had seen shades of what he was at Everton. He was a nuisance for Chelsea. He marked Fabregas superbly. Fabregas, has he come out of his pocket yet?
I think I've seen a Vine where he sort of vaguely comes out, but then the Vine says he's still back in it. So, yeah. I think what we've really sort of seen there is that this may be, and no need to constantly slag Moyes off for last season, but David Moyes had Fellaini at Everton for a couple of seasons at least at Everton, and he used him extremely well. Why does he come to United, brings him to United, and then starts playing him as a defensive midfielder? He's completely out of the picture, and that's the difference. As soon as he came on against West Brom, he was straight bang up there. That was what Van Gaal wanted him to do. He wanted him to play off the edge of off the top striker, not close balls down, and just cause a nuisance in the air. He does that automatically within, what was it, a couple of minutes of coming on. Chest one down. I thought he was actually going to blooming sky the blooming first touch, because I thought, this is going well. What's he doing? What's he doing? The next minute, he puts it in the blooming back of the net. And you're thinking, that's what he used to do for Everton.
Yeah.
Why did Moyes never use him in this position? And that may be just self-confidence coming back to him. But yes, I can believe I can do this myself. I can play in this position. I can score goals.
Was he your man of the match yesterday?
I'd have to probably agree with the Fellaini one, because I don't think really, apart from maybe De Gea's save with the 1-on-1. Say that again.
Blind was very good as well.
Yeah, Blind's sort of got that continuity about him. You know,
very tidy.
He's very tidy. He goes about his work in the same way constantly. You sort of don't see any sort of drop on his levels and stuff. So it's really quite good to watch Blind. And I'd hope that Herrera may sort of learn some of this as well, because it seems that Herrera's been dropped.
Just as we go on,
first half at West Brom.
This will be a relatively short show. But as we go on, we need to obviously speak about the equaliser in the end. Robin van Persie, I think this season, whether you agree or disagree, has been a bit of a passenger. But yesterday he looked a lot better. And when you had Mata helping Fellaini out and kind of man-marking Fabregas, at times Van Persie got isolated up top. Not a fault on his own, but a fault because the way we had to play against Chelsea. When you see Cesc Fabregas playing against you need to mark him very closely, because the assists he's been creating and the goals he's been scoring. So I think he scored 1 goal and 7 assists this season, which is a fantastic record. But Van Persie's season has been poor. But yesterday he was dropping deep. He looked that bit more interested than ever this season, and his goal came right at the end. I would argue he's been a passenger this season, but yesterday he looked a lot better. And that goal was vitally important yesterday. Vitally important. He's lucky it dropped close to him, but like you said earlier on, with the closest one-on-ones he's had, he should have had a goal earlier on. We should have bet Chelsea yesterday.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think I was calling for Falcao to start yesterday. Unfortunately, he got the knock in training and was out. It was actually fortunate for us in Jake's stand, because his box was directly behind Jay's stand, so he was quite enjoying himself with the admiration of the United fans in Jay's stand. Right in front of him. So yes, Mr. Falcao enjoyed a good rest out, shall we say, yesterday, and his spectacles as well. It's a bit strange sort of sight. But yeah, I think that he has been a bit of a passenger. And those sort of balls, we used to think these sort of like, they're not diagonal balls, they're sort of lofted through balls that he'd pick out the air on the edges of the box. And he was never timing them for the past couple of weeks. Even at West Brom, he wasn't doing that. And I was getting quite frustrated with him. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, he was getting on the end of those. And I don't know if it was supply or he just woke up to the fact that he needed to be getting on those balls and bringing those balls down and creating some sort of chances. Like I say, he well deservedly gets his goal in the end. Obviously, Fellaini actually does his job right at the end. I sort of watched Fellaini sort of drop back a bit in the last 10 minutes, but at the right time for that free kick, Fellaini was in the right place at the right time. And he gets the header that consequently gets parried out and straight into Van Persie's feet. Now, hopefully, if we're not going to have Falcao fit for next weekend, and he has to, game to sit out. Obviously, Rooney returns. You'd hope that Van Persie takes his confidence in and his stride, and takes that goal in his stride and goes with it, and says to himself, right, now I've got 1 goal. Now I need to build on this. I need to go and be prolific for a good couple of months of the season.
Yeah, just before we do wrap it up, we have a few questions, and I think the answers are going to be quite lengthy. debate type questions. Have Another Donut has asked, who would you start the two centre backs against City and the Manchester Derby? Stay with Rojo and Chris Smalling, but I guess it depends on fitness. Who would you start against City centre half?
I've watched Rojo for the past couple of weeks, and when he first stepped in, he sort of filled the void that had been left by Tyler Blackett, and
I'm not
everyone
convinced.
had to get in there and do a job. Filled the void that the youngsters left, basically. But I've not really been convinced of him. I mentioned this to a few people around me yesterday, that United's past couple of photos that they tweet out the day before the game, where they're tweeting out pictures of people, the players training ahead of a match. The past couple of ones have got the players weight training. And this is, I think, Louis van Gaal realizing how physically tough the Premier League is. That you can't,
very, very intelligent.
You've got to bulk these players up and stuff, and you've got to, give everyone some sort of push, and hopefully that he'll learn from that. Now, it's not going to be the end of his.
Januzaj needs bulking up.
Unfortunately, Januzaj, this was my disappointing point for West Brom. Januzaj was someone that needed to. Januzaj needed to. Well, he got man-marked out the game, unfortunately. We ended up with a left back and a left winger right in his face for the entire 90 minutes, and
Have we got a streaker?
We've not got a streaker. We've got. You don't want him to take his top off either. Anyways, back to defenders. Chris Smalling, if he's fit, then I think he should stay in there. But I'm not saying we should drop Rojo by any means, but it is going to take him maybe a couple of weeks for him to sort himself out. Maybe bulk up, like I say, to be able to deal with these defenders. And unfortunately, we've not really got the tallest of defenders. I think the two tallest centre backs that we've got are Smalling and Jones. And at the moment, we can't have one or both at times.
So, to answer the question, who do you start in their half against City?
I'd have to continue with the Smalling and Rojo. I think keeping the back four may help United's defensive woes.
Yeah, so do I.
Keeping some sort of fluidity between the back four. Obviously, Shaw. I'm not too sure what Shaw's doing at the moment. He looked a bit better than he did against West Brom. He just doesn't seem to be able to beat his man. Obviously, the goal for Fellaini came from West Brom. It comes from an overlap, and I sort of did a bit of a demo tactical video that's not come out too well for us for Stretty News. And it's actually, if he plays a 1-2 with Di Maria, he actually puts Di Maria on the byline at that time. He doesn't. He shots the ball, plays it back. Di Maria changes his foot, swings the ball in. The rest is history. But it doesn't seem to be the Luke Shaw that we saw at Southampton was beating men. He was doing what Baines does at Everton. He beats the man. He does what Patrice ever used to do.
Yeah.
Like having your own left winger but in the left back position, he'd go and beat his man. He just seems to he's the knock of confidence or something. He didn't seem to do that for me, and he was starting to yesterday. And that's where we got some more crosses. And Januzaj was helped by that as well.
To be honest, I just think when Januzaj is on the wing, ahead of Shaw, Januzaj would work that bit more backwards. Not superbly. He's not the best for tracking back, but he will work back. Angel Di Maria, less so. That's where what confuses me about Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw last season was fantastic going forward for Southampton. And he's better going forward than defensively. With Angel Di Maria, who doesn't work backwards, what do? You cannot go bombing forward because there's no one to take up the scraps. He needs to be more cautious, which is why I think you spend 30 million on a fullback that's renowned for going forward when he has a winger in front of him that he cannot necessarily go forward the whole time. He needs to be cautious. So if he's not that strong defensively, then you're kind of thinking 30 million for a player that goes forward. You can't go forward because someone's ahead of him that's better going forward that won't track back. It's a bit of a headache. A small bit of a headache. I thought he was good against Chelsea. I keep saying City. Better against Chelsea. but at times Januzaj was on that side of the wing, and Di Maria was on the right. So at times I was thinking why that change. He was up against Felipe Luis. He's more pace than Ivanovic. I would have had Di Maria and Ivanovic. Ivanovic is a better defender, yes, but in terms of pace, Di Maria could have burned Ivanovic for pace yesterday.
Yeah, I think that it was an improvement. I said this before. It was an improvement by Shaw, but on the opposite sort of wing, in actual fact, I think Raphael had a really quiet game yesterday.
Well,
I think
he got booked earlier
no,
on.
I know he got booked later on, and that was he got booked early on even, not booked later, and it does sort of disappear you get. But he got the 2 or 3 crosses against West Brom. Januzaj was being blocked. He did a couple of 1-2s, and Januzaj just put a beautiful ball in to him, and he made the crosses from that right hand side against West Brom. Now, is he in sort of awe of having Di Maria in front of him, or is he actually doing what Luke Shaw should do when Di Maria is in front of him, and he's being more intelligent? He's sitting back and he's being able to watch the play from in front of himself and go, that's where I need to be. I need to be defensive here, minded here, and not to be too sort of over aggressive with it. And I thought maybe that on the other side of that is the way that Di Maria was crossing yesterday wasn't, like I say, it doesn't swing in between the back. It goes over the heads of the defenders and rather going round in between the gap between the goalkeeper and the defender. And maybe that was the other option, that if Raphael hadn't got that yellow card early doors, he would have been able to bomb a bit more forward and create that overlap, and then being able to create some crosses, which would have been another string to our bow on that side of the field. But yeah, I think we've got to constantly keep that back foot how it is.
You have the same opinion. Next question. We've got a fair few questions, so we'll get through these. Next question's from Harman Garbai. He asks, why do you think Mata hasn't been able to succeed in that centre-back midfield role? He believes it's unfair to judge him in a team that lacks in confidence. Just before we go on to you, Ian, I think personally, big fan of Juan Mata, but when you look at Juan Mata, the reason that he wasn't a Jose Mourinho player is because he doesn't work off the ball. When you're not in possession, doesn't work off the ball. He should be working a lot better when he's on the ball, and this season he hasn't been. And I don't think it's due to his lack of confidence. Maybe he's lacking confidence, I don't know. But when he's on the ball, he's not creating things. And as an attacking midfielder, you need to create things. Now, technically, he's better than Rooney, but he hasn't shown the past few games. So Rooney comes back into the team. Rooney scores goals. Rooney works tremendously hard. He's not everyone's cup of tea. He's not my cup of tea, Rooney. But since he's become captain, he's working tremendously hard. And with the way Matt's been playing lately, he did well against Chelsea. Reasonably well against Chelsea. His best performance of late. But on the back of some performances, I'd have to say a fair Rooney. And you're asking, why do you think he hasn't been able to succeed? Well, ask Louis van Gaal. Because when Van Gaal's had Rooney or Mata available to him, he's picked Rooney. There's reasons behind that. I know he cost 37 million, but if you're not providing the goods, you're not providing the goods. Ian, what do you think?
Yeah, obviously you go for the better player every day of the week, and he's just not been on that sort of form.
No.
But I don't know, because at the end of last season he really did sort of mount on. He did sort of. He scored a couple of goals against Norwich, and then he played some superb football in the last 4 or 5 games. But he seems to have, I don't know if it's because the whole team started off on a bit of a slow, or because we've had a tough couple of games. But if you read his blog, he's really up for it. He sort of really sounds passionate about wanting to play and produce.
Oh, I love Juan Mata. I read his blog every Monday. Really enjoy it.
Yeah, and he just seems to. It's a really good blog, and it gives you sort of insights.
Not as good as Stretty News, though.
That's only that's a one-minded approach, where Stretty News just every mind. But yeah, There's a point where you look at it and you go, come on, you need to be giving more for what you're saying as well, especially if you're going to publicly shout your name from the rooftop of how you're feeling about getting into these games and stuff. So yeah, I can actually fully understand if Mourinho comes straight back in and takes his place next weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got one more question. Who's going to play a small bit of a debate before we wrap it up. Do you agree that David De Gea is the best shot stopper in the world? I'm going to take out shot stopper. Goalkeeper. Is he the best goalkeeper in the world, Ian?
Currently? For his age, possibly.
No. Is he the best goalkeeper in the world? Age aside, is he the best goalkeeper in the world?
I'm going to have to say no, but he's still got only a couple of years before he will be.
Who's better?
You've put me on the spot because you've got to start thinking of people that would do. Especially after his performance the other week as well, where he just stops 3 in a row.
You see, people in the comment section are going to say Manuel Neuer. Each to their own on that one.
Can we say Valdez now he's training with us?
I watched Manuel Neuer in the World Cup, and although he's a fantastic goalkeeper, he's very big, makes him even bigger. He's great. The one thing I have to say is, I find it very hard if he was my own goalkeeper, the way he comes out and he rushes. I know it works out for him more than not, but being a fan, I couldn't take that. It's when he runs out so abruptly, and it's like he's clearly off his line, comes out very fast, I know that, but it's just, you're really shitting yourself. If your goalkeeper comes out that far, you're shitting yourself. He shouldn't have to. His defence should be in front of him, doing their job. But look, I'm not going to take that away from Manuel Neuer. He's definitely up to one of the best goalkeepers in the world. But when you're talking about best goalkeeper in the world and you're talking about David De Gea, who rivals him? I'm not saying best goalkeeper right now. I'm saying he will be in 2 or 3 years' time. I think Courtois at Chelsea is fantastic as well. Another great goalkeeper. He's very good just against Van Persie's one-on-ones. You got David De Gea. You got Courtois. Casillas having an absolute mare the past 2 years. I can't think of anyone else. You have De Gea, Courtois, Manuel Neuer. Anyone else, Ian?
I can't really think of anyone that I'd add to that list at the moment, which is always about the same. You know, I mean, it's only 3 or 4 goalkeepers around the world.
But you're talking about 3 goalkeepers that are very young.
Yeah, and that's the exciting point about it is the fact that they've all got time on their side, and goalkeepers normally have time on their side anyway because they can play into their mid-30s to a relatively decent level. What I think that De Gea learns is that he's now got one of the best goalkeeping coaches he could ever have at United. There's nothing wrong with having Eric Steele there, but he's now.
He's had Eric Steele. He's had Chris Woods. Yeah. He now has, I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not going to try to pronounce the name, but the current coach is Coach Eden van der Sar and Victor Valdez. 2 very, very successful goalkeepers. And now Victor Valdez has come to Old Trafford now, Carrington even, train on the base if he does perform very well and impress the coaches, he will be signed up. The one thing I'd ask on this topic is, if Victor Valdez is signed, does that send a bad image to David De Gea, who I believe is better, or is Van Gaal thinking of life without David De Gea? Because David De Gea is aware of Madrid's interest, and I think they might come calling in the summer. And when you weigh up, I know as a United fan you have to say it, when you weigh up Madrid and Manchester, rain, sun, you have to say he's going to pick Madrid. I hope not, but you have to say he's going to pick Madrid.
Yeah, I think you've got to sort of nailed it on the head, really. That Madrid would be obviously the better place to play football, Champions League as well. Considering, I started Football Manager 15 the other day, and the first person who went out the door because we didn't play Champions League football was David De Gea, and I was like, what? some loyalty here, mate. Let's go in. So yeah.
But loyalty to Atletico Madrid.
Well, that is true, but he's not going to Atletico. He'd be going to Real, wouldn't he?
No, but loyalty in terms of an inner city derby. He's an Atletico Madrid fan. Played for Atletico Madrid for years.
Yeah.
Go to Real Madrid.
And then go and play for their rivals. Okay. It's a point, but you'd hopefully like to see that he'd stay and he'd have some loyalty at United and think about the 2 seasons or 3 seasons time when he's got himself into that top 2 in the world of goalkeepers.
Well, look, Ian, on that.
And he got himself onto the top of he's got himself the number 1 shirt in Spain as international duty, and he's building up a decent career for himself. And then would going to Madrid really alter that much? Not really. I doubt it.
Well, look, Ian, look at it this way. Tomorrow morning, he could sign a 5-year contract with United, play for 5 more years. He wouldn't even be 30 yet, and he could go to Madrid then, and still be the best goalkeeper in the world, and give them another 5, 6, 7 years. He's still very, very young. He could sign on a 5-year contract with us, 4 or 5-year contract, do a great job. For me, he's the recipe for the best goalkeeper in the world. Another 5 years, go on to Madrid, whatever you want. Just give us 5 more years. Because when he came to England, he was absolutely wrote off. I was amongst the people saying he's very young. You rarely see goalkeepers this young as number 1 at such a big club. Fergie stuck by him. Well, Fergie stuck by him. Can you say that? Because Fergie went through a stage too, where he was mixing up with Lindegaard. And so on. Lindegaard's a great number 2. I'm surprised he's staying like this long. He's a great number 2. He should be number 1 elsewhere.
I'm starting to question the fact that if you bring Valdez in now, does Lindegaard now start questioning his place? Because today Sam Johnston's just gone back to Doncaster till January. Now, obviously, he's not going to be aiming for first team, but he's getting into the England under-21s already, and he's sort of bringing himself up the ranks.
Well, Lingard's agent did say last summer he was searching for a new club, and I was very surprised that he hadn't got a new club. Lingard, I have to say, he's a good goalkeeper. He's not good enough for Manchester United number 1, but he's good enough for Premier League standard. He's good enough for, I don't know, whatever other league is in Europe. If he's good enough for Premier League standard, he's good enough for La Liga. Surely this club out there needs a goalkeeper. And I thought his tweet last week to West Brom was fantastic. He stood up for a teammate. Bit of a loudmouth on Twitter, I must say, from reading his tweets. But he stood up for his teammate last week. I thought it was excellent. West Ham said something like, fortunately, Fellaini's a United player. And then he came out and said, that's totally unprofessional, which it was. He stood up for his teammate. What did Fellaini do? Scored a cracker against West Brom. And it was a real middle finger to West Brom over that. Totally unprofessional. Just needless as well. I think United have we've got John Stone's a great goalkeeper. I think Ben Amos is a good goalkeeper as well. Lindegaard should be playing elsewhere, should be playing first team football somewhere. And David De Gea, a recipe for the best goalkeeper in the world. We're not going too wrong. If Valdez comes back into the frame, he's a European winner, isn't he? Champions League winner. Comes in with a bundle of experience, and he's not too bad himself. Personally, I would prefer David De Gea to Valdez. That has to go on, no, but just need to see what happens, I guess. Just on that note, Ian, it's time to wrap it up. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Any questions, any queries for readers or listeners or blog readers?
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything from Chelsea. I said in the little notes that we was going to cover City, but maybe we'll do that.
Mourinho.
You can sit down with me constantly. I'm still trying to figure out how I didn't break the chair in front of me yesterday when put that in.
I was sitting in a pub actually when Drogba scored. Had a Chelsea fan jump my back. When Van Persie scored, I felt like jumping on his head.
Like kicking it.
Jumping, kicking, punch, whatever you want. I felt like it. I was like, I'm not aggressive with football, no violence needed, but I just felt this urge when he jumped me back. It just needed to be done.
Well, like, I did pretty much jump on my mate's back in front. We could have been big crowd surfing, and I think at one point they staged and I may be doing some crowd surfing.
Alright then, it's time to wrap it up. Thanks for watching. Stretty News TV is back. We had a few weeks off, just a bit of a rest, a few queries how we're going to go forward, but we're back now. Jonathan wasn't able to make it tonight because he was looking after his son. Serge was with the missus, I know, priorities. He has it all over the place. Ian met it, I met it. So we're back next week again. It's a weekly show to reflect on a game and a few topics. We're in 40 minutes today, so it should be a half an hour to an hour every other week. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and leave some comments, and we'll all reply to comments in good course. Thanks for joining me, Ian.
Thank you, Dale. It's always been a pleasure. Now I've got my new laptop. We're back in business.
With your Beats headphones.
Well, apparently.
Alright, so look, thanks for viewing. Make sure to subscribe and like this video. Maybe a comment too if you're feeling generous. And we will speak to you next week. Come on, you Reds.